Coming up next on the Gay News Network, Peru targets gay men for sterilization. Researchers find lesbians at a higher risk for breast cancer. Prayers for Bobby to become a TV movie. Then we'll find out how gay and lesbian journalists can be dealt an open hand in the newsroom as GNN visits Las Vegas for the National Lesbian and Gay Journalists' 7th Annual Convention. Surrounded by the lights, the roulette wheels, and a roll of the dice, GNN reporters place their bets on the true orientation of Navy midshipman Timothy McVeigh. The Gay Agenda uncovers how local TV news plays the high-stakes rating game during sweeps by airing stories on gay sex in public restrooms. Finally, our Las Vegas news teams cash in their winnings in a big way when they meet Virginia APUZZO, the highest-ranking openly lesbian official in the Clinton administration, plus LESLEY STAHL of 60 Minutes, who encourages gays and lesbians to come out on the job. All of this and more on this edition of GNN, your source for gay news from the nation's capital.
I'm Dr. Siebert Koop. If you are a homosexual man, you are at high risk of contracting hepatitis A highly contagious and debilitating liver disease that can last for months. Travelers to developing countries can be infected through contaminated food and water. For homosexual men, the disease can be sexually transmitted. There's no cure, but now there's a vaccine to prevent hepatitis A. If you're a homosexual man, see your doctor. Get vaccinated.
Call 1-800-VAX-9585.
I'm out here every week talking to people about sex. My message is simple. If you're gonna have sex, a latex condom used consistently and correctly can help prevent the spread of HIV and other STDs. People out there gotta understand. That's why I'll go anywhere to talk about latex condoms. Even into your living room.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Gay News Network. I'm Holly Landau.
And I'm Joe Liberatore. Topping our list of international news, after London's Parliament failed to make the age of consent for gay men equal to the age of consent for heterosexuals, young activists enlisted the help of Great Britain's most recognizable landmark in their fight for equality. According to the Associated Press, a laser projected by the group Youth Speak showed a giant pink number 16 on the side of the clock tower known as Big Ben. Both activists and Labour Party members want the age of consent for sex between men to be lowered from 18 to 16, equal to that of the age of consent for heterosexuals. The famous clock tower served to keep the debate over Britain's unequal age of consent in the public eye. Parliament plans to tackle this issue next session. Currently, England has no law dictating the age of consent between two women.
In France, a controversial measure seeks to extend legal marriage benefits to unmarried couples, both gay and straight, who live together. The bill was proposed by the Progressive Majority Coalition that controls Parliament. Conservative President Jacques Chirac and the Catholic Church have sharply criticized the measure. These critics say that this would lead to gay marriage, which would devalue heterosexual civil marriages. A recent poll found that 70% of French voters support extending marriage benefits to unmarried heterosexual couples, and nearly half favor doing the same for gay couples.
And now in Peru, a tale that's almost too strange to be true. Gay men are being tricked into getting vasectomies, and women from poor rural areas are being sterilized as part of a government-led campaign to control population growth. Mirka Negroni of the International Gay and Lesbian Human Rights Commission has confirmed through various human rights groups that financial incentives from the Peruvian government motivates doctors to pressure people into these procedures. Eager to earn more money, the doctors tell gay men that a vasectomy will make them more feminine, but they do not give them information about the risks and implications of these surgeries. Peru has pledged to human rights groups to stop this practice.
Tests of an experimental AIDS vaccine developed by the Pasteur Institute are set to begin in Trinidad and Tobago in the year 2000. The vaccine will be tested on 20 virus-free people to see if antibodies can be created against HIV, the virus that causes AIDS. The HIV vaccine caused controversy in Uganda when some politicians expressed unfounded concerns that it would create a stronger strain of HIV. Other opponents of the trials accused researchers of treating residents of lesser developed countries as guinea pigs. However, based on the trials of the vaccine in Europe, the treatment has been proven to be safe. To avoid the problems encountered in Uganda, researchers will conduct a 2-year education program before beginning the test.
Turning our attention now to national news. In other AIDS stories, people with HIV are surviving longer, according to a study published by the Journal of Acquired Immune Deficiency Syndromes and Human Retrovirology. About 13% of people with HIV survive for 25 years or longer without developing full-blown AIDS. The study followed 201 gay and bisexual men with HIV in the U.S. and Denmark for 14 years, between 1981 and 1995. The 10% estimate is considered conservative, since new, more powerful antiviral drugs have been available since 1995.
In related health news, lesbians are at a greater risk for breast cancer than heterosexual women. Researchers reported these findings in the Gay and Lesbian Medical Association journal. On average, lesbians have a higher body mass index, fewer pregnancies, and more breast biopsies, 3 previously identified risk factors for breast cancer. The study underscores the need for more research that compares lesbian and heterosexual women of different ages, economic groups, and various geographic regions. Doctors say it's still too early to develop specific mammography guidelines for lesbians, but it's clear that lesbians should seek medical examinations on a regular basis.
In the wake of the mass media attention over the brutal beating and tragic death of Wyoming college student Matthew Shepard, nearly 75% of Americans say they support hate crimes legislation. Ironically, hate crimes have taken a dramatic turn for the worse immediately following Matthew Shepard's death, after a newspaper article identified a straight woman as the co-president of the Utah State University gay student group. Vandals smashed her parked car. In Chicago, 2 bashings of gay men occurred within 2 weeks. The first incident left 1 man with a skull fracture. The second incident occurred when 4 people in a car stopped a gay man walking alone and asked him about his sexual orientation. They then got out and beat him. And finally, in Madison, Wisconsin, an 18-year-old male was attacked with a broken beer bottle shortly after hundreds attended a nearby vigil for Matthew Shepard. The victim was hit on the back of the head with a bottle and then stabbed in the abdomen.
A recent study by an internet-based marketing firm found that 70% of gays agree that family values are important in their lives, and a new national magazine, Hero, is the first and only magazine for gay men who value romance, commitment, and family. Hero features the first national gay marriage registry, along with departments for youth, those over 40, families, and committed couples. Hero also features cutting-edge reporting on technology, pop culture, and entertainment. Hero magazine can be found online at www.heromag.com.
The book Prayers for Bobby tells the tragic story of a gay teen suicide and is now the subject of an upcoming NBC movie. Oscar-winning actress Susan Sarandon of Thelma and Louise, The Client, and Dead Man Walking fame has just cut a deal with NBC to make the TV feature. Prayers for Bobby chronicles the life of Bobby Griffith, who took his own life at the age of 20 by jumping off a freeway overpass into the path of a speeding tractor trailer. His personal diary reveals a boy tortured by his mother's insistence that he be cured of his same-sex feelings through prayer and counseling. After Bobby's death, his mother, a Christian fundamentalist, became an advocate for gay teens. She co-wrote Prayers for Bobby in 1995 with the founder of the National Lesbian and Gay Journalists Association, Roy Ahrens. Ahrens says the role of Bobby should be played by someone like Joaquin Phoenix or Brad Renfro.
There seems to be no end in sight for President Clinton's trouble with women. First there was Paula Jones and Kathleen Willey, then came Linda Tripp and Monica Lewinsky. Now it appears that his trouble is growing exponentially. Send in the clones was the cry as Monica Lewinsky and Linda Tripp lookalikes competed in a best dressed, or was that worst dressed, competition at JR's Bar and Grill in Washington, D.C. The dazzling drag show featuring the gruesome twosome was the brainchild of JR's managers Eric Little and James Lebonsky to see who was the most treacherous Tripp and the most lustful Lewinsky. The best Clinton babes got an open bar and a free wig brush. Polls have not yet reflected what effects these women will have on Clinton's popularity ratings.
And for our final news story, Brad Pitt joins the Village People. That may be closer to becoming a reality than you think. According to an article that recently appeared in Washington, D.C.'s MW magazine, Sony Pictures is developing the life story of the Village People. And rumor has it that Brad Pitt, Vanity Fair's recent cover boy, could play the lead role of the construction worker. Folks are abuzz that perhaps Tom Selleck would play the Leatherman and the notoriously homophobic Mel Gibson as the cop. Will any of these Hollywood men actually appear in the film? And who will play the Indian and the cowboy? Will Sony actually make the movie? You'll have to wait to see along with the rest of us. However, if there is a movie, be sure and save me an aisle seat.
Mel Gibson as a gay cop? Now there's something you'd like to see, Joe. What's in store for us after this break?
I'm glad you asked, Holly. Coming up next, GNN continues on a roll as we take viewers to the National Gay and Lesbian Journalists Association's convention in Las Vegas, where we'll meet Virginia APUZZO, the highest-ranking lesbian official in the White House, for our next installment of the Washington Report. Plus, legendary journalist Lesley Stahl, public sex in private restrooms, a revealing interview with 18-year Navy veteran Timothy McVeigh, and gay comedian Bob Smith makes us all richer with laughter as the Gay News Network continues after these messages.
He went to high school in San Antonio, Texas, where he won a nomination to the United States Military Academy at West Point, but turned it down to help with his family when one of his parents was diagnosed with cancer. At the age of 20, he enlisted in the Army. In Operation Desert Storm, he was a military journalist behind the lines. Then, on the eve of the ground offensive, he was told there was a shortage of combat medics. He volunteered, and his unit was one of the first to cross the Iraqi border. He is one of the most decorated soldiers in the Army. 5 Army Commendation Medals, 3 awarded in combat, including the highest award a combat medic can receive, the Army Achievement Medal, the Good Conduct Medal, the Kuwaiti Liberation Medal, Soldier of the Year in the 6th Army. Joe Zuniga, soldier, patriot, gay American.
Welcome back to the show. Next, GNN brings you exclusive coverage of the 7th Annual Convention for National Gay and Lesbian Journalists Association in Las Vegas, Nevada. Joe, I understand you're a member of this group. How was Vegas?
It was incredible. From what I remember, there was acres of slot machines, blinking lights as far as the eye could see, and an awful lot of food buffets. Seriously, Las Vegas was great. And by the year 2000, the area will have more hotel rooms than Los Angeles, New York, or Paris. And they're expected to have a convention center that rivals Chicago's McCormick Place and Orlando, Florida's Orange County Center. NLGJA's convention brought together several hundred professional gay and lesbian journalists for outstanding fun and professional growth.
I understand the organization supports gay and lesbian journalists when they're on the job, and it also works to ensure that their sexual identity is an asset, basically, instead of an obstacle to their success.
That's right. The founder, Leroy Aarons, was just one of many high-profile people that actually attended this convention. Another inspirational person who was also a speaker is the subject of this episode's Washington Report. While at the NLGJA convention, GNN reporter Phil Kahn was there and caught up with Virginia APUZZO, assistant to the president for the Office of Operations and Management at the White House. APUZZO supervises many of the executive office's operation units, such as the White House Military, Travel Office, and the Conference Center. She's also the liaison between other federal agencies. Here's what Virginia had to say about her gratifying involvement with the gay and lesbian rights over the past 30 years.
I remember when we couldn't get a single press person to an event in the community. I find it just so fabulous that there's a room full of professional journalists in this room coming together to talk about issues that have to do with our lives. I congratulate you, and you warm my heart, believe me. Anne made a statement that I noticed that I don't know who edited the little piece that was in Me in your book, but there's this long list of things that says, and she was also a nun. So Anne said that. Now I'm torn. Do I tell stories about the convent, or do I tell stories about the White House? What's the difference? There is a difference. If you don't know what the difference is, I'm not telling you.
Virginia APUZZO addresses hundreds at the NLGJA convention. APUZZO is the highest-ranking openly gay official in the White House, and I caught up with her just before her speech. Virginia, what accomplishments are you most proud of?
I think disability for persons with AIDS. We accomplished that when I was at the task force. I think increased visibility in the community. We had a variety of projects that did that. Violence against lesbians and gays, that was a project that came out of my work at the task force. So I'm proud to have been a part of it. I mean, my biggest pride in my life is that I've been a part of what I think is one of the most important social change movements of our time.
APUZZO says there are many battles yet to come, but those battles are fought each and every day, and she says that gay and lesbian journalists will be the foot soldiers on the front lines of the war.
I think that what we've done is what has made America great. People who have been consigned to the margin historically have come to a system that has been static, that has been rigid, that refuses to move, and demands that it have vitality.
For more than 30 years, Virginia APUZZO has been on the front lines of the gay rights movement. From Stonewall to domestic partnerships and anti-gay marriage, she will continue to be there for a long time to come. In Las Vegas, I'm Phil Kahn.
Virginia has always been open and outspoken. In 1980, as an openly gay delegate to the DNC, she co-wrote the first gay and lesbian civil rights plank of a major political party. Virginia then went on to be the director of the National Lesbian and Gay Task Force from 1982 to 1986.
Now in the Gay Agenda, a panel of mainstream broadcast producers and 4 gay activists explored the ethics of gambling for high ratings during spring TV sweeps. We'll see how more than 20 stations took undercover cameras into public toilets and parks to find men having sex with men.
It began last winter. Controversial reports like this appeared on TV stations across the country. Hidden cameras being used in men's restrooms to show the alleged dangers of public sex to children.
Dreadful piece of PR for the gay cause.
The issue was the focus of this panel at the 7th Annual Convention of the National Lesbian and Gay Journalists Association. The panel included 2 TV news directors and 4 gay activists, including Boston's Bay Windows editor, Jeff Epperly.
I don't think I've ever seen a piece done, a hard news story done, there was that many opinions given by the reporters. Sorry, children should not watch. In fact, if you're squeamish, you may not want to watch either.
On-air comments like these fueled the debate between audience members and news directors like WDIV's Deborah Kalura.
I will tell you that the number of anchors and people who saw the piece before it ran said, were shocked, were disturbed. One anchor man came into my office and said, I can't believe I can't send my kid to Hudson's to go to the bathroom.
Yet another issue in the debate is the use of the camera itself. Is it legal or ethical to use hidden cameras in public restrooms?
We took the camera all over metropolitan Detroit.
In some states, it's legal. Others, it's not. Either way, most audience members say the practice is unethical.
A police officer is hanging out in a toilet all day. They obviously can't be walking the beat in your neighborhood.
Chief Griffith, who runs a Cruising for Sex website, is outraged stations are cooperating with police, who he says should have better things to do.
What is not getting done in your community when the police are doing this? What is the police department doing to stop straight people who are having public sex? How many arrests are being made on Lovers Lane?
Despite 2 hours of debate, the news director still walked away unswayed.
I believe when you stand by a story, when you believe in a story, when you feel that the story is editorially fair, accurate, and balanced, you can stand by it.
And finally, there are those who argue whether public sex is a story at all. Does this kind of coverage actually protect children or incite homophobia? In Las Vegas, I'm Daniel Beasley.
No matter which side of the issue you stand on, there's no arguing that local news stations win big in the ratings game with these controversial and editorializing stories.
After these messages, the Gay News Network continues with our salute to NLGJA when we meet retired Navy Master Chief Timothy McVeigh, who tips his hand on his true sexual orientation.
Later, GNN viewers will have lots more fun from Las Vegas when we join comedian Bob Smith.
Plus, one of the first women in the broadcast news business, Lesley Stahl of 60 Minutes, tells us why she encourages her peers to take the risk of coming out on the job in the high-stakes business of news.
You will be a happier person. You can't live a lie. None of us can.
Welcome back to the program. Timothy McVeigh served with distinction for 18 years and won many awards and commendations. He was the most senior enlisted position on board his submarine. After inappropriately obtaining his anonymous AUL profile, the Navy relieved McVeigh and began proceedings to discharge him as a case of stating homosexuality.
McVeigh took a crapshoot and challenged the Navy's charges that he was in violation of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. Last January, a U.S. District Court in Washington ordered the Navy to halt efforts to dismiss McVeigh and ruled that the Navy's investigation violated its own policy. Even after the Navy case was decided, McVeigh did not comment on his sexual orientation until the NLGJA convention in Las Vegas.
I'm here poolside at the Alexis Park Resort Hotel in sunny Las Vegas, shortly before Tim McVeigh came out to the public at the 7th Annual NLGJA Convention. I was able to chat with him regarding the AOL incident and how it feels to be in the national spotlight. I asked McVeigh if friends and former crew members have been supportive through this ordeal.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Were there people that didn't know you were gay, that now did know you were gay and then, like, turned against you or shunned you or, you know?
Well, they said didn't know I was gay, didn't know I was gay or did know I was gay. It wasn't really an issue.
How does it feel being in the national spotlight?
It's kind of different. It is. It's not too bad. Once I left Hawaii, I'm no longer in Hawaii. I'm now in Jacksonville, Florida. And when I left Hawaii, some of the sort of notoriety kind of went down because I think people expected to find me in Hawaii.
Right.
I would walk down the street in Hawaii, and people from Australia or Wisconsin or really throughout America would stop me on the street and ask me and say, "Hey, aren't you the sailor?" And so that was kind of interesting. But at the same time, it makes you wonder, okay, well, gee, everybody's watching here.
Now, the historical moment. Timothy McVeigh comes out publicly for the first time during a panel discussion. This is prompted by Howard Goldberg, an editor for the Ohio Bureau of the Associated Press. Goldberg simply asks, "Are you gay?"
Obviously, with the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, there was a question earlier that was asked of me, why did I say, and then, after the case sort of resolved itself. And I said, well, I was still under the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, and so I wasn't able to say anything. Since I retired on August 31st, I'm free to say whatever I want. Are you gay?
Am I?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So am I.
I was in the military, and coming out is one of the most liberating things you could do. Most gays and lesbians, I'm sure, would agree. What you don't normally hear about, though, are heterosexuals encouraging you to do so.
Well, that's certainly not the case with our next guest. Lesley Stahl was one of the first women to break into the broadcast news business. Next, she'll tell GNN reporter Shirley Zilberstein why her peers in newsrooms across America should all be dealt an open hand in the newsroom.
This was the first National Lesbian and Gay Journalists Association conference for the famous 60 Minutes reporter, but she's familiar with the organization through smaller events like dinners with gay colleagues.
As a reporter, I really am not a cause person. I've been very careful not to support causes. But these are my colleagues. A lot of the people who I go to these dinners with are my friends, and I go to support them. I just don't believe in prejudice of any kind. And I think that's what this group is trying to fight.
Several hundred journalists applauded Stahl's support and understanding. Later, Stahl told us she knows what it's like to fight for equality in the newsroom, and she says things are getting better.
Journalism has always been a profession that accepted, that fought prejudice and accepted people before others. For instance, there were always women in journalism. And I found that it was not hard for women to come into this profession in large numbers and succeed, and we have. And I think, I don't think people think about it. Think about we know who's gay, we know who isn't, and that's the end of it.
We asked Lesley Stahl how safe she thought it would be for a gay or lesbian reporter to be out in the newsroom today.
In my environment, where I work, coming out's fine. You know, I don't think there would be a problem at all today in New York, at CBS, in New York at 60 Minutes. I personally have no idea what life is like in Des Moines. But if a person came to me, I would say you'll be a happier person if you come out, whatever is going on with the other people in your shop.
Words of advice from Stahl for journalists who know the issue firsthand.
For more information on NLGJA, you can write them at nlgja.org. Or for more information on us, visit us on the web at www.gaynewsnetwork.org.
Taking us out of today's show, reporter Brad Dixon talks to comedian Bob Smith.
Now, my first question is, for those of us who haven't seen your comedy act, what can we expect?
Lots of stuff about my family, lots of stuff about my boyfriend, lots of stuff about being gay, and hopefully very funny.
My mother once said to me, Bob, we never suspected you were gay. Get real. They once gave me a chemistry set. I used it to make my own line of skincare products. I was definitely a gay kid. My treehouse had a breakfast nook.